Well, hello to anyone that's out there listening. I have just come back in from doing a little bit of gardening and wanted to record this story. And I wanted you to know that these are just memories from my childhood that have been in my head and revised to tell them to you. This one is called The House People Whispered About. So welcome again to the Rowan Files, or Whispering from the Rowan Tree. And this story is about a house, not a grand one, not a frightening one, and not one you would think to visit. And yet, if you were to ask quietly in the right company, somebody might lower their voice just a little and say, "Oh, you mean the house people whispered about?" It stood at the edge of the village, where the road slowly lost its purpose and narrowed into something older, something less certain. It had not always been that way. Once the house had been lived in properly. Voices in the garden, light in the window, a door that opened and closed without hesitation. But over time, something had settled there, not visibly, not in a way anyone could point to, but enough that people noticed, and then chose not to speak of it too loudly. The garden had softened into itself, no longer tended, but not entirely wild. The curtains inside hung unevenly, as though they had once been adjusted and then left. And when people passed the narrow lane that led toward it, they didn't stop, they didn't stare, they just simply lowered their voices. Nell had heard of it more than once, not directly, not explained, just mentioned in passing with that same quiet tone. She didn't ask about it. She didn't need to. It was the feeling of it that stayed with her. And one morning, without really deciding to, she found herself walking that path. The air felt different before she even reached the house. Not cold, not still, but as though something had already happened there, and the place had never quite moved on from it. When the house came into view, she stopped, not from fear, but recognition. Not of the house itself, but of the feeling it carried. The door was unlocked. That, more than anything, felt deliberate. Inside the house, it held its quiet in a different way. Not empty, held. There were faint marks where furniture had once stood. Lighter patches on the walls were pictures had hung for years. And in the far corner, near the window, a chair. Simple, ordinary, and yet not. Nell stepped further in, slowly, and as she did, something shifted. Not around her, not in front of her, but within the space itself, like stepping into the edge of something already in motion. The air thickened slightly, the way it does just before rain. She didn't sit. She stood and allowed it, and there it was. Not a presence, not something she could see, but a moment held. The door opened behind her. This time, not carefully, not quietly. She turned. The man standing there looked as though he had walked this path many times, and only now had come all the way in. "You shouldn't be here," he said. Nell met his gaze calmly. neither should you. He gave a small, tired breath and stepped inside, closing the door behind him. For a moment, neither of them moved. "You've been here before," she said. He nodded. "I lived here." He stood looking at the room as though it had not changed at all, as though he had only left it yesterday. "My name's Daniel," he said after a moment, his voice quieter now. "I don't suppose it matters, but it feels strange not to say it here." Nell inclined her head slightly. "Now." Daniel didn't sit straight away. "I've brought people here," he said, "over the years. People who said they could explain things, equipment, recorders, all of that." He gave a faint, hollow smile. "They found nothing." A pause. But it didn't change anything. His eyes moved to the chair. "My mother used to sit there," he said. The room seemed to shift again, deeper this time. "Every evening," he continued, "same place, same time. I used to think it was just a habit, but she wasn't sitting there for the light or the view." He swallowed slightly. She was waiting. He stepped closer now, slower. "I was impatient, I suppose, with her. With the repetition, the same questions, the same worries. I didn't see it for what it was." Nell said nothing. "That night," he continued, his voice tightening just enough to be heard, "she asked me something. I can't even remember exactly what it was now. Something small. Something she'd asked before." He paused. "But I remember what I said." The room held still. "We'll talk about it tomorrow," he said quietly. "I'm tired of this." The words didn't disappear. They stayed. Not echoing, not repeating, but present. "I didn't even look at her properly," Daniel said. "I said it as I was leaving. Just something to end it. Something to get out the door." He exhaled slowly. "I thought I would be gone an hour." A pause. It wasn't an hour. The air thickened again. "I didn't want to come back into the room," he admitted. "So I didn't. I drove. I stopped. I sat longer than I should have." Another pause. "And when I came back..." His eyes moved to the chair. She was still there. Silence settled fully now. "Exactly where she'd been when I left," he said. The curtain shifted slightly near the window. A small movement, easy to dismiss, but the room didn't feel empty. "It was the last place she was fully alive in my presence," he said. Nell felt it then. Not a presence, but a repetition. Not heard, but known. "We'll talk about it tomorrow. I'm tired of this." Daniel closed his eyes briefly. "I didn't say goodbye," he said. A long pause. "And I've been trying ever since." He opened his eyes again, looking at the chair. "I don't know if she's anywhere. I don't know what happens after. But something of that moment," he hesitated. "It's here." Nell spoke softly. Some things don't leave, she said. Not because they stay, but because they were never finished. Daniel let that settle. I thought it was something in the house, he said, something I couldn't understand. A pause. But it isn't. He stepped back from the chair, slowly this time, deliberately. I came back here, looking for forgiveness, he said. Not from her. I don't even know if that's possible. He let out a slow breath, his eyes still resting on the chair. My mother, he said quietly, as though saying it properly mattered now. It was my mum sitting there. I kept saying she as though that makes it easier. He gave a faint, almost apologetic shake of his head. I wanted forgiveness from her, of course I did. I still do. For walking out. For saying it the way I did. For not turning back at the door. He paused. But standing here, I can see that I never really said any of it. Not properly, not out loud. I carried it. But I never faced it. He drew a breath, deeper this time, as though something in him had finally been given space to move. And maybe that's why I kept coming back, he said. Not because she was here, but because it was the only place where I couldn't pretend that it didn't happen. Where I couldn't smooth it over or explain it away. His voice softened. Saying it now like this, it doesn't change what happened. It doesn't bring her back. A small pause. But it does something else, doesn't it? He glanced briefly toward Nell, not needing an answer. It lets it settle, he said. It lets me stop holding it the way I have been. As though it's still waiting for something. He gave a quiet breath. For myself, I suppose. The air softened slightly, not gone, but different. And now? Nell asked gently. Daniel looked at the chair one last time. Now I can see it for what it is, he said. Not something waiting, not something calling me back. A pause. Just a moment I never allowed to settle. He moved towards the door. I don't think it needs me here anymore, he said. Not relief, not resolution, just truth. He left without looking back. Nell remained a while longer. She looked at the chair again. It was just a chair, and yet not entirely. There are places, she thought, that hold moments, not to haunt, not to warn, but because something within them was never brought to rest. The house was sold not long after, quietly, without announcement, and over time the whispers faded. Not because nothing had happened there, but because it was no longer being held in the same way. And if you'd like now, just for a moment, remember or imagine a room you once knew, a place where something was said or left unsaid. See the light in that room, the chair, the quiet, and notice there is nothing there to fear. Only a moment that once mattered very much, and now perhaps can soften. It won't be erased. It won't be forgotten. It will, though, just be allowed to rest. And you have some peace now. So thank you for being here with me. There are many things in this world we don't fully understand. Moments that linger, places that feel different, questions that don't quite settle. Perhaps they're not waiting for answers. Perhaps they are just simply echoes of something deeply felt. Until next time, rest gently and be kind to the moments that still linger with you.